Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Mount Tammany Ridge channel. As you all know, we've had a monster snowstorm coming across basically the whole half of the United States, all the way from out near Dallas, Texas, all the way up into Portland, Maine, and over here in New Jersey, we're getting a pretty good snowstorm. I'd say so far we've probably got, I don't know, probably somewhere around between 10 and 12 inches of snow. It's really kind of hard to stay. The wind's been blowing around a bit, so you know, some places you feel like you're up to your knees, and others you feel like you're in your ankles. So, but I'm out here in the skid steer, getting it warmed up, getting ready to go out and do some snow management here around the farm. You guys who have watched any of my videos doing snow management around here in the past are used to seeing me using, you know, like a snow plow or a snow pusher on the front of my skid loader. This time around, things are going to be different. We had acquired a used piece of equipment just a couple days ago in anticipation of the storm coming through, and we've been wanting to, pardon me, I'm working on the fins of the defroster vents here, but yeah, so we've been wanting to acquire a snowblower for the front of the machine for years, and we've kind of just been, you know, dragging our feet on it just because, you know, they're not cheap, you know, and we've been going back and forth. Do we buy a new one? Do we buy a used one? And we wound up getting a used one, and we're just going to have to see how this thing goes. So I'm going to get this camera turned around, and we're going to get to blowing some snow here and see how it does. Alright, well, I got the PTO engaged. I've had it engaged to warm up a little bit here for a while, so we're going to crank it up. It's going to get loud. I'm not going to be saying much. Well, I might say much, but you're not going to hear much. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to be running this thing about 2,300 RPM. It actually smoothed out. Alright, so I'm going to lift this up a little bit. I'm right next to the truck. I don't know if I find any gravel in the snow pile. I don't want to spit it all over the truck. That would just be wonderful. Alright, here we go. Icing up too much. fact that I've got a manual adjusting chute, and that does make things a bit frustrating, but it's what we can afford right now, and we just didn't have time, with everything going on with this storm. We just didn't have time to be monkeying around with wiring kits and stuff like that. So we figured we would just get a manual one, get us through the storm, and we will for certain. We will be getting a kit. I wouldn't doubt it if it was before the end of the season, for obvious reasons. Magnet a little bit to one side of the phone for convenience for other reasons. And the vibration of the machine on the tracks is getting to be a little much for that magnet to hold. It's getting off kilter. I'm really impressed though. right of way between, sorry about the wind, I can't see anything either. Down in between my neighboring field and our far pasture. This is the right of way between the two properties. And it's a lot of snow. I guess it's been said that we got roughly 25 inches, 22, 25, somewhere in there. In the area where I am. But it's settled down to probably, I don't know, 18 or 15 inches. We got some mixed precipitation there toward the end of the storm. And it settled down a bit. Of course, now the sun's out, so it's going to settle down some more. Supposedly, we have some more snow coming for next weekend. Right now, they're estimating a storm capable of about 3 to 5. We will have to see. This storm, you know, from the beginning they were talking about it being pretty aggressive and getting into possibly 2 feet of snow. And as the storm progressed over several days, the totals that they were saying we could be getting changed all the time. And you know, the totals went from, you know, possibly 2 feet of snow all the way down to like 8 to 11 inches or 8 to 16 or something like that. And well, as you can see, we definitely did not get 8 to 16. We definitely got, you know, more to like 20 or 20 something. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how things go, what other people say, you know. Well, I've talked to 3 people so far, and you know, in our area, our neighboring community, our neighboring, I should say, neighborhoods, streets, you know, people are measuring, you know, up to 25 inches. And I don't know, it's hard to say, especially for me, because I've been out several times through the duration of the storm trying to be sure that I don't get it to a point where it's even going to be too much for my big machine. You know, because once the sun starts hitting this snow and your tracks packed down behind you, they glaze over and it becomes ice, you know, hard packed snow, and it can be a real nightmare to try to deal with. So, but as you can see, the wind is not working in my favor right now, and my chute is manual, and I don't really feel like getting out because it's still pretty cold out there. I'm just going to rock and roll with this the way it is, and I'll catch back up with you guys when I get back up to the house, and we'll talk about this snowblower a little bit more. Well, good morning, everybody. It's post snow what am I getting, and we're out here with the snowblower. I had you guys with me in the cab. I had Teresa do a little bit of filming from outside the cab of this snowblower that I picked up literally 2 days before the snow hit the ground. You know, I really didn't want to talk too much about it. Pre-storm, I really didn't know much about it other than it's a snowblower and it works on my machine. We didn't even actually know who the manufacturer was. This was a used blower. A gentleman had it, I guess, since the early 2000s, and it had been, you know, maintained and repainted. You know, they didn't do a great job painting it, but I guess the purpose was to protect it from the salt and everything. So they did exactly that, because it is in fantastic shape. So this snowblower, it turns out, is actually manufactured by a company called Erskine. Okay, and they've been around a very long time, and they also make more than just snowblowers. I guess they got some tree shears and a few other things, and maybe even like Harley rake and stump grinder maybe. I thought I saw something out there, but I could be wrong on all those types of implements, but I'm pretty sure I saw some of that stuff. Now, this blower has a manual chute on it. We chose to go this route initially simply because of the fact that my New Holland had never been wired through the boom, through the loader boom, with the 14-pin or 7-pin harness, because the pilot controls that I have in this machine for a standard flow setup didn't really have all the switches for all the bells and whistles and stuff, for extra hydraulic functions and whatnot, back when this thing was manufactured. So we have to, kind of get around that with maybe an aftermarket setup. We've seen several out there. I think there's Skid Steer Solution, Skid Steer Genius. There's a bunch of them. I think even Erskine has, their bundle. I wouldn't say kit, but a bundle to get you upfitted from manual chute rotation to hydraulic. And that's, electric over hydraulic, I imagine. They have some sort of a switch box, to interface CAN bus setup that goes to the full hydraulic outside. We're going to see if we can go the same route, but through some stuff that I might have laying around here at the farm. I might have some of what I need. I have to do a little bit of poking around with testers and see if the thing even still works. So, but we'll get to that deeper in a later video. So this snowblower is a 70-inch wide unit. My machine's technically 78 inches wide, so that's not exactly convenient. However, I can put some collector extensions on here. And I want to make sure they're robust too, because I believe this is 1/4-inch thick steel, which is great for cutting into, we're here in the Northeast, so some of this stuff can get pretty frozen and chunky. So you want something brawny to kind of knife into and pull away and shoot the stuff away. So I see guys that, they come way out with these wide things. And, if you're way up north where you get nothing but cold, fluffy snow all the time, or most of the time, that's fine. But we don't deal with that. We deal with the occasional monster snowstorm, and then we deal with having to find out, as the smaller storms come through afterward, where we're going to put piles that are now getting in the way. So we find ourselves using these snowblowers more for getting rid of those big windrows and piles and throwing it further back to make room for any possible upcoming storms. So that's one thing we will hopefully be doing. I don't think it's necessary for us to focus on that this winter. I'm just trying to get to know this machine a little bit more, what I can and can't do, whatnot. Now, the auger on this, I like the fact it's actually serrated, which is really nice, because I was just talking about the hard, crunchy snow and ice piles. The serrated knife on the auger is awesome, because that's really going to help churn that and break it up and send it to the fan. The other thing is that this particular blower has a 6-paddle fan, which, from what I understand, is not common. Now, the gentleman that I spoke to at Erskine had also kind of raised his eyebrow, like, "Wow, that's odd. I don't think if it's a 6-paddle fan, it must have been before he worked for Erskine," and that was probably a real long time ago, from what it sounded. So we'll have to see. I'm very confident this is an Erskine piece of equipment. Everything says yes. The fan having 6 impellers is the only thing that's kind of an anomaly. But other than that, it's got a greasable bearing on one side, so it's a really low maintenance machine. Aside from greasing that one, I imagine the fan I haven't found yet, but I think that fan is direct to the hydraulic motor. There might be a carrier bearing in there just because it's a big monstrous fan. Have yet to find that. And the other side is direct drive, directly to the motor. So there is not a greasable, there's no reason for greasing on that side. So it's really, really a great machine. There's been a really good list of testimonials out there on the internet from way back and all the way up to present time. People talking about how they're very reliable and they're happy with them. Yeah, so I think it did really, really well here. My machine is a standard flow, so with this being a 36-inch high model, from my understanding, the fellow that we had spoke to had said that is an indication that this is actually a high flow snowblower. And I was always kind of concerned that it wouldn't perform the way I would like it to. But you run this thing up to its maximum, the machine up to its about 2,400 RPM, which is where it makes its maximum flow of, I think it's like 24.6 gallons per minute or something like that. And this thing throws just fine, specifically with the type of snow we have here. So it's been great. I have had it plug up with the salty wet stuff at the end of the driveway by the road. So there is limitations, but that's kind of within character for most snowblowers, small and large. But yeah, so far the snowblower's been pretty awesome, and it makes things look a lot different around here when you have a snowblower. You're so used to windrowing gravel up into the snowbanks, and you get that peppered and dirt, and almost looks like cinnamon and pepper all throughout your snowbanks, up and down the driveways and all over the place, and it just gets to look a bit grimy. But if you look, I'll show pictures in the film somewhere in here about what it looks like, and you'll see that everything is clean looking and it's not all dingy looking like it usually is. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm going to bring the camera over here. I'm going to get you a little bit more of a close-up of the blower for those of you that may be interested in getting one, or maybe you haven't really seen much of stuff like this, and show you what I mean about the six paddle fan and all that. So any of you folks from Erskine that might be watching, if you see anything that says this is not an Erskine, let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any tips, tricks, or get-arounds for me to get this chute rotator and deflector upfitted, of course that would be as long as I can afford it. Everything's crazy nowadays with expense. Doesn't matter what it is, whether you're doing lumber like what I do at work, or equipment and attachments. Everything's crazy. So let's get you guys up closer. All right, so hopefully I can walk around this thing without falling on my face. So you can see, it's got the pin style adjuster. It's got a monster hydraulic motor for that fan. That thing is a beast. And yeah, so that's the manual chute rotator there. And you know what? I mean, it looks, at first, it looks kind of, what the heck, right? But when you actually start to use it, you begin to realize it's actually pretty smooth operation flipping that handle around. You don't, it's not convenient no matter what way you look at it. I mean, it would always be much better to have, hydraulic or, electric, setup to rotate that and deflect. But boy, I'll tell you what, in a pinch, it got me through the storm. It was a little bit annoying to have to get out, as many times as I had to, but I'm glad I had that. And it was smooth. It was out of the way, The only thing I might say to the folks at Erskine is, if you're going to continue to use this setup to have for manual adjustment as an option for folks, instead of having the crank on this side, maybe you can make another bracket, like kind of over here maybe, to put the manual crank on here, because the way the door swings on this New Holland, and I think all the others, Bobcat and Caterpillar and all that, I think they swing the same way. I think the hinges are on the I guess if you're sitting in the machine, it would be on the right side. So when the door swings out, I have to kind of like bend around the door to reach it. So if you guys, think of it or have the time, or if it even matters to you, maybe put the manual setup on this side so it's a little easier for us folks to reach. But other than that, I mean, this thing's a beast. So here's that 6 paddle fan, and I think that's a 20 inch. I think it's a 20-inch fan. And the paddles have like almost looks like a 22 degree or 25 degree angle, whatever, 30 degree, kind of like a cup to it. And that's pretty cool. For anybody who wanted to do like a rubber, like a paddle extension kit on something like this, it might not work that well simply because they are cupped. But yeah, it's a beast. This thing's a monster. And so you do have all the hydraulics down here. I think the manifold, I'm trying to remember where the manifold is. There's a manifold in here somewhere for the hydraulics to interface and then go their own way. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm really happy with it. And as long as we get more snow, you'll see more of this thing in action. And it's been so crazy cold. I had Teresa out here, I had mentioned earlier, and she was cleaning off the cars for me, kind of getting them ready to move them so I can, do more cleanup. And poor thing, she was frozen solid. And for me to have her stand out here much longer, I mean, during that storm, we were talking about, single digit temperatures. I mean, right now it's 11 degrees and my hand is absolutely frozen. So I'm gonna put them in my pockets. Let me get a tripod. So yeah, we're supposed to be having, I guess the storm for this weekend actually dropped south of us and headed out to sea. Carolina's got walloped pretty good. My stepdaughter and her boyfriend down there, they got about, I think, 10 inches of snow on the ground, which I guess for down there is very rare that happens. And I hope you guys all down there have some shovels available, because I don't know if that's really a thing you keep in your shed, but it's kind of a staple up here. And everybody down there from this previous storm, down in Tennessee and all through those southern states and central states, I hope you guys are doing okay. I know Tennessee still has something like 80,000 people with no power, and it's sad. It's sad to hear about the hardships, but Unfortunately, you know, these storms bring a wrath sometimes that you almost can't be prepared for. I mean, you could do everything you can to try to be prepared, and even if you are prepared, you're going to be surrounded by a whole lot of people that either couldn't get prepared, you know, because it's not within financial reach, or, you know, it could be an age factor, you know what I mean? Just check on your neighbors. You know, some of your older neighbors, you know, they might be pretty hardcore on the firewood thing, and they might rely on firewood to supplement their heat or be their heat entirely through the winter. And when we have snow totals like this, and icing conditions like you guys had down there, getting to their firewood becomes a real problem for people who are, you know, fully and completely capable, able-bodied folks. It's dangerous enough as it is. And then, you know, you've got, you know, elderly people who aren't exactly, you know, high on the reflexes end of things, you know, walking on slippery surfaces or even climbing through deep snow up to your knees is really not an option, let alone shoveling a path. So, you know, check on your neighbors, make sure everybody's okay. If there's any way you can help, you know, definitely reach out and give them a hand in any way you can, because in times like this, things are deadly, and it's just a sad reality. But it feels good to do the right thing and the good thing. Always does. Kind of it's a pay it forward kind of mindset. So anywho, I'm going to let you guys go. I'll see you guys on the next video, and hopefully, you know, we'll be able to use this blower a few more times this season. That'd be nice, considering they're not cheap. So, you know, I'm not exactly investing in this snow blower to make it not snow for everybody else. At least give me a couple more, huh? But anyway, you guys have yourselves a good afternoon. Enjoy the evening when you get around to it, and just be careful out there. Take care now.